Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, this is going to be the guide on player power. Player power, is it important in this game? If you're early game, it's essential to know what it's all about. If you're mid game, you can forget it. And if you're late game, it's essential to know what it's all about. Kind of weird? It is kind of weird. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk you through how player power is made up, when you want to look out for it, and what does it actually mean? What are you scared about if you see someone with high player power? So let me just talk you through initially, how is it made? If you click on your little avatar, top left, it will break down what your player power is actually made up from. So on my free-to-play account here, free-to-play, yeah. I have got 79 champions, and my player power is made up from mainly champion power, then some artifact power, then some arena power, then some mastery, then some great hall. So where are all these different numbers? Where are these coming from? So basically, champion power is like your base stats of your champion. Artifact power is the things they're wearing, so all of their different items. Arena power is the rank you are in the arena. So the rank you are in the arena grants you stats. Can I show that from here? Because I'm in. Where do I see it? Where do I see it? Tears. Yeah. Grant. First time I've been in free to play. Yes, I know Arbiter. Played the game before. So if you see here, tier bonuses, I get health, I get attack, and I get defense for being in bronze 4. This is where those numbers are coming from for arena power. Mastery power, same type of thing really. Anytime you put a mastery on someone like this, which increases my stats, it gives me some mastery player power. And then Great Hall bonus, similar to the arena. As you rank up your Great Hall, you're increasing stats, and those stats add into your player power. So everything to do with player power is actually just recording stats, and there's an assigned amount of player power against each stat. So if you're up against somebody in the arena that's got high player power, it means they've got more stats than you. Across the board, they've got more stats. Okay, so that's the kind of first thing to understand. Player power is purely built up of stats of your champions. Now, there's some quite interesting stuff coded into the game, and what it means is that as an early game player, you can start to understand what does a high player power mean. So if I was literally just starting out the game, welcome if you are, and you're in early bronze arena, the thing you're looking at is you're saying, well, if someone's got a higher player power than me, it means that across the board on their 4 champs, they've got more stats in their makeup than I've got. And very early game, player power in the arena is essential to look out for. Pretty much, if you're less than bronze 2, if you've got a higher player power, you should win the fight. Pretty much, unless you've built your guys terribly. You should win the fight if you've got higher player power, because you've just got more stats to blow them up, okay? But if we flick to my main account, where is it? This one. My main account, so I've got 7.5 million player power. Whoa, I must be insane. You'll see that the makeup of my player power actually changes a lot as I get towards the end game. So artifacts start to become a much bigger part of my player power number. My champions, I've got less in terms of a percentage difference, and my Great Hall starts to add a ton more in. So artifacts start to really enhance player power. So what I've done is I have got a number of the same champions naked. Skullcrown be naked. And I am going to show you what their player power looks like. So as a naked level 1 4-star, she gives 4.3k player power. That's her base. That's her base level when she comes into the game. So every time you pull a shard, you're going to get some player power on your account. It means nothing. It means literally nothing. If you've got a vault of naked people, you're going to have a bunch of player power that is contributing to your player power overall, but it doesn't mean anything because they've got no items on, right? So if I look at the same champion again, well, actually, let's just throw in the tavern, and I'm just going to make her quickly level 40. So 4.3k is level 1. Let's throw some of these hard-earned brews into a And let's see what happens still naked when she comes out as level 40. Six more, please. Fill her up. Let's go back into champions. So I've just given her 2k player power because her stats have increased over that course of throwing the bruise in her. Yeah, so from level 1 to 40, her stats have gone up. It's given her 2k more player power. So if we look at the same champion as a level 50 naked, so she's gone up a tier level. From level 40 to level 50, she gains another couple of k. Yeah, so it's minimal. She gained 2k from 1 to 40. From 40 to 50, she gains less than 2k. And then from 50 to 60, she gains another 6k. So there's a massive leap between level 5 maxed out champions and level 6 maxed out champions. That's why we push people to level 6 as quick as you can, because there's a big jump much bigger jump between level 5 and 6 than there is between 4 and 5. So, and that can be seen in player power, because all this is recording is how many stats does she have, okay? So that's her player power. Now, why do we care about what someone's player power is when we get more towards an end game? Because you can start to understand how people are built. And all player power is basically saying to you, the team you're facing, how are they built? Because the way they've coded this game is kind of weird. There's 2 stats in the game which massively increase player power. So, and those 2 stats are crit rate and resistance. So if you're facing somebody in the arena that seems to have a massively high player power, chances are they are stacked full of resistance. And let me give you an example. So we've got someone here, 14k. Now I've got someone here who is stacked full of attack and damage. And a bit of resistance, actually. She's got 187 resistance, level 60. So same champ with masteries, level 60. She's got 73k player power. Now, if I go for crit rate on my gloves, so my other Skull Crown there is going to have high crit rate. I'm going to go for resistance gear where I can and try and push her crit rate right up. Do I have resistance gear and crit rate gloves? Probably not. So let's go for a substat of crit rate. Okay, so we've got crit rate here and we've got resistance. Perfect. So I'm going to start spamming her full of resistance and crit rate. So I want a resistance chest as my main stat. Ideally with crit rate as a secondary stat. I don't have it in resistance gear, so we're just going to take it out somewhere else. Like this. It's not even rolled up to full, so let's take another one that is rolled up to full. Then we're going to take some boots. All I'm looking for now is substats of resistance and crit rate. That's what I want, just so I can show you. It's just for the example, guys, of what does it do. Crit rate resistance, there's a little bit there. There's a load of resistance here, so we're going to take those. And then ideally, I'm going to get all resistance gear now for this final piece. So I'm at 50%, 50% crit rate. Let's take those off of my lovely, lovely Duchess. Crit rate and resistance here. Loads of resistance there, so we're going to take that. Crit rate and resistance here, so we're going to take that. So I've now got 4-piece resistance set. I've got a resistance chest. We're at, 70, 80% crit rates. Crit rates are a bit low, actually. And then we're just going to take rings, which are maxed out. I'm going to make sure I get resistance on my amulet as a substat. Much as I can get. 16's not a lot. That's not a lot. 15. Maybe I don't have a lot to play with. Okay, we'll just take this one then. 16. It is. And then we're going to take a resistance main stat banner. Okay. So we've gone up to 530 resistance. I can also change her masteries to give me more resistance, which is this. This mastery here will give you crit rate. This mastery here will give you resistance. These are the 2 biggest, low-level masteries to boost player power. If you care about it, you shouldn't care about it other than understand it. Don't care about your numbers. It really means very little. But what I'm going to try and do is just push stats onto my champs here. So let's just build to try and build up that resistance number. This is a resistance, plus 50 resistance. This is the highest player power mastery in the game. Doesn't mean that it's a good mastery necessarily for your build. It just means it's going to boost your player power. Okay, that's really important to understand. Like, don't think that like picking this mastery will give you more player power. Doesn't mean you're stronger. Okay, so we've gone up to 105k player power because I've gone for a high resistance build. 105k. Does that mean that this Skull Crown is stronger than my main Skull Crown? No chance. Look, this Skull Crown is going to hit for a ton. 260% crit damage, 100% crit rate, 5.5k attack on my main one. The one I just built to show you, 1,000 less attack, less crit rate, hardly any crit damage. She'll hit like a wet noodle, guys. So player power does not mean hit strong, okay? And I'm going to show you that on my free-to-play account now. So when I'm now on my free-to-play account and I'm in the arena, I do pay attention to player power because, actually, this might be a bad set. These all look hard. These all look hard. There's quite a lot of tanky teams. I don't really want to fight tank teams. Let's see what this one's like. So player power 115k versus my player power 63k. So how's mine made up? I've got 2 champs here with high crit rate, and I've got only 2 level 60s. Yeah, so this level 40 we know is going to be weak because she's not a level 60. She's going to be like less than half the player power she could be if I just leveled her up. This one here is only a 50. Again, I'm missing out on a chunk of player power because she's not leveled. Plus, these two have not got a high crit rate on their builds. So all of my player power really is coming from these 2 champions. So the player power over here, I'm a bit worried about it because it is high. It's high, which means they've got a lot of stats. But it probably means they've got a lot of crit rate between the whole team. Probably means they've got a full team. They're all 60s, and they've probably all got max crit rate. So when I come in against a team like this, I'm actually kind of less worried about it. I probably will still lose because they're way higher than me, but I'm a bit less worried about it than you might think I am. But there we go. So we've beaten them. We've beaten them, and they didn't even have a turn. And that's because these are all attack-based champions. These would have all had 100% crit rate or close to it, and they're all 60s. Sorry, Soul Drinker's not. So it's a kind of example of once you're past the very early game and stats mean less because I'm now gearing my champions to do their jobs properly, I care less about player power. Okay? Early game, I care about it a lot because all we're doing is fighting stats versus stats. When you get past the very early game and you start to move yourself into the mid game, which I'd say this account is getting close to that, then player power means less to me, stats means more to me, and picking the right fights means more to me. Yeah? So we might find another example here. I would never fight that team because it's got a Skull Crown. I can't deal with it with this account. This team, high player power. This team's more threatening to me because I don't really have a way to defeat tanks. So this team I wouldn't take on. Even though I just beat a team with a higher player power, I wouldn't fight the next one because I know their makeup is very tanky. And actually this selection of teams are all quite tanky. So let's just have a... I hate using gems like this, but I'm doing it for the video. Or am I? Yes, I am. Okay, so this team here, he's probably got high crit rate. He's going to have high crit rate. She's probably got high crit rate. And he's got nothing. So this player power, I'd imagine, is going to be maybe 70k. There you go, 73k. Lucky guess, maybe. But I think I can beat them because I think I'm going to outspeed them. I got a speed lead they haven't. And as long as I go first, their player power means nothing to me. I'm just gonna nuke them into the floor. So you see, he's kind of quick. No one else is quick. And I'm selecting this fight because I'm pretty certain that I can deal with them at their player power. But not because of their player power. I just think I can deal with these champions. Whereas if I looked at this team, tank, kind of negative affinity to tough, tank, and then a healer, higher player power, but much scarier team for me because I don't think I've got the damage to take them down before they take me down. So that's where mid-game player power becomes less important and just team makeup becomes more important. This team, irrelevant of this player power, I think I win this fight. Just because I think once I take out their damage dealer, I win. So as long as, I mean, they've got a big shield, that's going to be a problem actually. Big shields are a nightmare. But So to get through this shield is going to be hard. Maybe I don't win. Maybe I don't win because that big shield set is going to do me in. Yes, I've lost. But my reason to fight was based on nothing to do with player power. Just it was literally to do with understanding the champs I'm up against. So early game player power is massive. Mid game player power is very, very rarely is it important. Just consider it for your arena fights. Anywhere outside the arena, it means nothing. And then end game on my main account, player power becomes important again, but only so that I understand what I'm fighting. So if I look here, I'm high gold 4s. If I'm looking down the list. Now, anybody who's got just an outright damage team, like I've got, will have a relatively low player power. So see me, my normal team is this. Just for like farming medals, this is the team I would run. That's the one I just built. I think that's the right one. So 234k. I've got a bit of resistance in there. I've got a high Great Hall and all that sort of stuff. So this team's 178k. We're actually very evenly matched. As long as I go first, I win. If I don't go first, I probably lose. So the player power at this level means very little, other than to know that people have geared their champions pretty well, yeah? However, the one point where I'll start to worry about it or be more concerned, see this has gone up? I figured it would because they've got a very defensive team. Normally when you fight against defensive teams, they'll try and stack their resistance high, so they become very difficult to kill. So in this instance, I think I still win. I'm probably way faster. Look how much faster I am than this team. The yellow bar's their speed, right? So I am so much faster than this team. It's what I expected, actually, because they've built a high tank, high resistance team with no speed to it. Now, unfortunately for them, they're not going to be strong enough to be able to just kind of deal with me. But this kind of comp used to work quite nicely until Rotus could just come and slice his way through all the defense. But you see in this sort of setup, so Chris often is stacked with stacked with resistance. Siphi's are often stacked with resistance because you don't need accuracy in her build. So this will probably be quite a high resistance team down here. You've got 1, 2, 3, all defensive champions. You only need accuracy potentially on one of them. So if you don't need accuracy, then you can stack resistance. So I'd imagine this player power will be higher. Actually, it's not. So he's not built that team very well. If we look at my defense, I've got 263k. We've got high resistance here, high resistance here. I could easily build a 400k team power defense, but they probably won't do anything. They'll probably just sit there as big lardies and won't do any damage. So player power does not mean everything, but it just helps you understand what you're up against. The final thing I want to just cover off is the Great Hall. So my Great Hall is really stacked. But if you see somebody that's got a high Great Hall player power bonus like this, generally it's because they've started now to go up the resistance tree. And the resistance gives you way more player power than any other stat. Every champion will get different amounts of player power for different stats. So, you know, if you take, and there's a diminishing return in player power against that stat as well. So if you take a Valkyrie, she will get lower additional player power per defensive point than an attack-based champion because she's already scaled much higher in it in the first place, and it diminishes over time. Same thing happens with all stats, but resistance and crit rate tend to just kind of keep going. So I don't know, guys. Look, I don't know if that's useful, if that's what you're after, but basically player power doesn't affect whether or not you should face a team, other than just you should understand it. Understand what it means, how it's made up, and then you can make more informed decisions around whether you want to take fights or not in the arena. It's pretty much the only place it's used. I guess other than building up clan power to see where you should rank, which is a kind of crazy mechanic as well for me. Anyway, that's enough. I've talked for ages on it. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I'll catch you later.